first real test has arrived for Ruben Amorim as Manchester United manager. Unbeaten in his first 3 games, he comes up against an Arsenal side who seem to be hitting form at the right time. Can Amorim and his Manchester United side cause the upset that very few people are predicting? Let's get into the match preview. Manchester United come into this game against Arsenal on the back of a positive result at the weekend against Everton, a 4-0 win at home at Old Trafford. And Ruben Amorim has said while the result was good and he was really happy with it, it probably didn't reflect how the game really went. He thought Manchester United could have played better and that Everton maybe deserved a little bit more from the game. We're going to jump in, guys, and talk about how we think Ruben Amorim is going to set up for the Arsenal game. This is, of course, the starting 11 for Manchester United against Everton on the weekend. And like I said, while it was a comprehensive win in the end, 4-0, United were very clinical on the day. There was some things that Ruben Amorim wasn't too happy with and how we could maybe improve, and we'll talk a little bit about them in advance of this Arsenal game as well. First of all, we're going to start with obviously the defence, and it's a clean sheet for Manchester United. It's the first clean sheet for Ruben Amorim as Manchester United manager, and a timely one as well, you would have to say, coming up against a very difficult opponent in the likes of Arsenal. The back three, obviously Andre Onana stays in the goal. I don't think there's any concern there. He's been up there with our best player this season, and he's got the most clean sheets in the Premier League so far out of all of the teams. The back three then, obviously Mazraoui and De Ligt, I think, are probably going to be mainstays. Now, we'll talk a little bit about maybe Mazraoui and how he may change position potentially. I don't think it's necessarily going to happen, but there is a potential there for it. First and foremost, guys, in relation to the back three, we want to talk a little bit about this guy, Lisandro Martinez. Now, we do know, obviously, that Lisandro Martinez and Kobbie Mainoo are going to be suspended for the game on the weekend, and it's disappointing. It is disappointing. I think Lisandro Martinez does give you that solidity on that left side of centre-back. He's been unlucky with some injuries over the last maybe 12 months or so. So I think, look, it is bad timing that we're going to be missing one of our most important players in defence. However, we're going to have to talk a little bit about who could potentially cover that position. And look, I mean, I think first and foremost, the obvious choice to come in there would be Luke Shaw. Now, we have seen Luke Shaw play some minutes in that position. That's basically where he's come on under Ruben Amorim any time that he's featured so far. And I do think he is the automatic choice, you would look at to fill in that left-sided centre-back. We know he's played as a centre-back under Erik ten Hag and has played quite well there, in previous games. I do think he's the obvious choice, to be quite honest with you. However, I do think there are other options there. If we look, first and foremost, Harry Maguire played some minutes on the weekend, and we have seen Maguire play on the left side of a centre-back before. That's, before Erik ten Hag came in, that's where he generally played under Solskjaer. He liked to play on the left side. However, Erik ten Hag shut that down quite quickly and said he wants right footers playing on the right, left footers playing on the left. And, it does give an awful lot more balance to the team. Maguire, however, in my opinion, is only coming back from injury. He only featured on the weekend. So are you going to bring him in and play him against an Arsenal team when you're trying to get him back to full fitness? I don't think so. Another option, guys, and this is where we're talking about potentially Mazraoui moving, is we've heard over the weekend in the interviews that Ruben Amorim has given, is that Lenny Yoro is more than likely going to be available for the match day squad against Arsenal. And, it's great that we're seeing him back. And I think the quicker we can get him back, the better. Now, do we bring a 18-year-old into the game against Arsenal for his first start as a Manchester United player? I think it is probably unlikely. However, I think if it was the case, we could potentially see Mazraoui move to the left side of centre-back and Yoro come in on the right side of centre-back. Now, I've been speaking to a few people, Manchester United fans, and a couple of them have reckoned that when Yoro does come back, he may potentially play that centre defence role with De Ligt playing on the right. De Ligt has played on that right-hand side before at Juventus in the back three, with Bonucci playing in the middle. So it's not outside the realms of possibility that Yoro would play as a central the central role in the back three. However, I think it's more likely that he will play on the right. Does he come directly into the starting 11 to play against Arsenal when he hasn't played a competitive game for Manchester United yet? I don't think so, to be quite honest with you. For that reason, I think it's going to be Mazraoui on the right. De Ligt will keep his place in the middle, and I think we will more than likely see Luke Shaw come in and play on that left side at centre-back. Look, it's not ideal having the likes of Martinez missing. It really isn't, and we will miss him. Absolutely we will. However, Luke Shaw has got some minutes under his belt the last few weeks, and obviously he's been training as well. You know, will he last 90 minutes against an Arsenal side? Probably not, but I do think he is probably fit enough to go and start the game, in my opinion. Probably the easiest part of picking and predicting the starting 11 will be our wing backs. Obviously we've had Delors and Ahmad. They started against Everton on the weekend, and I don't think we will see a change there. I thought Delors had a good game, and I thought Ahmad played, again, a really, really, really good game. If we look at the ratings for the weekend, Delors with a 6.9 and Ahmad with man of the match got a 9 as his rating, and was absolutely phenomenal on the weekend. He played the full 90 minutes. I think he's played every minute in the Has he played every minute under Ruben Amorim? I think it's absolutely in the Premier League. He has no goals, but had 2 assists on the night, which was or on the day, which was absolutely fantastic. So I think we will not see any changes at wing back. I think it's going to be Delors and Ahmad to play the 2 wing back positions. Now, when we talk about the 2 number 6s. Now, obviously, we know Kobbie Mainoo is the second player that is going to miss out due to suspension, obviously for picking up a yellow card on the weekend. He's going to be a big loss. However, he is only coming back to full fitness as well, and his game time has been limited, and limited on purpose to make sure that he's not rushed back. Now, obviously Casemiro played on the weekend as well. However, I think there is one player that we've got to talk about here who's an absolute cert to start on the weekend, and that's Manuel Ugarte. We know how important he is going to be to Ruben Amorim in terms of the energy, in terms of the defensive aspect to that midfield, and made sure we're not counting on. If we think back to only 12 months ago, how easy Manchester United were, to play through the middle. We were wide open in the midfield, and I think Ugarte really quickly has established a really good reputation. And that's down to the good performances he's put in. So, when we're talking about the midfield, is it going to be a straight swap, Mainoo for Ugarte? I think so. Now, are we going to see both Ugarte and Casemiro play together? We haven't seen it yet under Ruben Amorim in terms of a starting 11. However, I do think this could potentially be the week and the game that we see the 2 of these start together. I think they played really well together in a few games under Ruud van Nistelrooy, and especially when you're coming up against an Arsenal side who, you have to say, as much as I don't like to say it, are superior to us in terms of attacking prowess and just an all-round team. I think having the likes of Ugarte and Casemiro in that midfield together will give us the defensive solidity that we need, and maybe that foundation that we need to go on and potentially win the game. We have seen Casemiro play some of his better football this season in more advanced positions, playing from that number 6 when Ugarte has been the more defensive player. Casemiro has liked to get forward, and we've seen him get into the box and get on the end of things. Probably should have a couple of goals under Ruud van Nistelrooy as well. So I think that's going to be what we see on the weekend in relation to the 2 number 6s. I mean, hands up if you think Casemiro is going to play beside Ugarte in midfield. Yeah, I think he's going to do it as well. I think it's the right decision. I think that defensively it gives us that solidity to go on and maybe get something out of the game, even though we're going to go into the game as underdogs, you would have to say. Now, talking about the number 10 positions, again, it's going to be a big debate over the next over the remainder of the season, I think, who's going to play in them two number 10 roles. Now, look, I think Bruno Fernandes is, a surety to play on the weekend. He's going to play pretty much every game under Ruben Amorim. Now, there could be a case where, you talk about, does Casemiro drop out and does Bruno Fernandes drop into that number 6 role? He played there against Bodo Glimt as well. So, again, I think defensively, I think Bruno wanders a little bit too much. He's not as consistent to sticking to his position as the likes of a Casemiro would be. So I think maybe for that reason alone, I think it's probably unlikely we see Bruno playing the 6. And that's why I think Casemiro will be there. I do think he will play in one of the 10 positions. Now, the other number 10 role, we obviously seen Marcus Rashford play there on the weekend. And he scored 2 goals. And, had a really, really good game against Everton. His performances are improving. His performances are improving. I absolutely think so. And playing that number 10 position, especially when we had Joshua Zirkzee dropping in looking for the ball, it allowed Rashford to advance, and to try and get on the end of things. I thought it worked really, really well. Now, there are some alternative options, in my opinion, and I think the main option we're going to be talking about is Mason Mount. I think Mason Mount has looked really good under Ruben Amorim when he's played, and even under Erik ten Hag before he got injured, I thought Mason Mount looked really, really good. I think the pressing from the front was triggered an awful lot by Mason Mount under Erik ten Hag, and I thought he gave us that that initial press and the energy levels in the forward line to go and close down the opposition high up the field. It's going to be interesting to see how enthusiastic we are to go and press in forward positions against a team like Arsenal. If you've got, both Mount, Bruno, Zirkzee or whoever's going to be playing in that number 9 pressing with Casemiro, Ugarte, all pressed, we'd like to see, and we have seen in the past, our centre backs go and press high up the field as well. It does leave spaces in behind for an opposition team like Arsenal to exploit. So are we going to see, United pressing really high? I think if we are, and if that's what Ruben Amorim is going to do, I think Mason Mount is the ideal person to play in your team to do that. Now, putting Mason Mount in your team instead of the likes of, Marcus Rashford will automatically take out maybe some of the goal-scoring opportunities that you would get with Rashford in your team. It's a hard one to call, to be quite honest with you. I think this is the one position that is going to be really, really difficult to try and predict. I think Bruno will play there. The other number 10, I'm not quite sure who it's going to be, if I'm being 100% honest. I'm going to stick with Marcus Rashford for the time being, given the fact that he scored 2 goals on the weekend. I think maybe Amorim will stick with him. Now, we did see, Rasmus Højlund drop out of the team after scoring 2 goals last week as well. I think that was more so rotation to get ready for the weekend, and that brings us nicely into the number 9 position. And obviously we know that Joshua Zirkzee, hit the ground running on the weekend and scored his first scored his first 2 goals since his debut against Fulham. And it was a really, really assured performance by Zirkzee on the weekend. I thought he kept the ball very well. His link-up play was absolutely fantastic. We heard after the Bodo Glimt game, was it the Bodo Glimt game or maybe the Ipswich game, that Ruben Amorim said he needs to get into the box more, and he done that on the weekend, getting 2 really good goals from inside, the 18-yard box. I think in around the 6-yard box he got both goals from. So are we going to see Joshua Zirkzee play again on the weekend in that number 9 position? I don't know, to be quite honest with you. I think there's a high probability that Zirkzee drops out and we see this guy come in, Rasmus Højlund. I think Rasmus Højlund is more than likely going to come back in to play alongside, or to play in this forward line, if I'm being completely honest with you. Now, we did see and we did hear Ruben Amorim say that Zirkzee played against the Everton in the Everton game because of the physicality that their 2 centre backs posed, and Zirkzee was much better equipped for that. Now, the two centre-backs that are going to be up against whoever plays in that number 9 in terms of Saliba and I forget the name of the other one, but are two of the most physical defenders in the league. I think Rasmus Højlund is going to play in that number 9 role on the weekend. I think he's going to come back in. Like I said, I think we see some rotation in that number 9, and it's horses for courses, really, isn't it? I think Rasmus Højlund will give us more of a goal threat. I think he's able to isolate centre-backs a lot more than Joshua Zirkzee is. Højlund likes to hang in and pin a centre-back, and I think that's going to be vital when we're talking about Rashford getting past the centre-back, Bruno getting past, even Ahmad advancing. If the ball can be played into Rasmus Højlund and he can hold up one, maybe even two centre-backs, it's going to create spaces in behind for our other forward players to give us goal-scoring opportunities. So for that reason, I think it is going to be Rasmus Højlund to play in the number 9 position on the weekend. And look, there we go. I think that's going to be my starting 11. Onana, Mazraoui, De Ligt, Shaw, Ahmad, Dalot, Ugarte, Casemiro, Rashford, Bruno and Højlund. I think that's a strong 11, and an 11 that we can, potentially get something out of this game. I honestly do believe that. Talking about Arsenal then real quick, obviously Arsenal are one of the best teams in the league, you have to say, as much as it kills me to say it, they absolutely are, and they're hitting form at a really, really good time. And again, a positive win for them on the weekend. The one area that I want to focus on real quick for Manchester United coming up against Arsenal is this inside right channel. Now, it was an area of concern for United for a number of different reasons, and I think we look at this inside channel was an area of concern against Ipswich, and it was also an area of concern against Bodo Glimt, where they got a little bit of joy out of when the ball was on this side of the field. They just left a player in that position. Now, who's that going to be? It's going to be Bukayo Saka, of course it is, and we know the dangers that guy poses. He's a very, very good player. I don't think he's as good as Arsenal fans make him out to be, but nonetheless, he is a very, very good player. It's an area that we do need to make sure we control on Sunday, and I think Dalot is going to have a big part to play in that. When we see the ball on this side, maybe with an Arsenal player, Mazraoui comes across, De Ligt comes across, Shaw comes across, or whoever's playing, as the other two, it's very important that Dalot gets into this area and cuts off that inside channel, because once this ball is switched and it comes to Bukayo Saka, we need to make sure that we're tight. Show him on the outside, no problem. Don't let him come inside, because we know the dangers that he poses. So, we did see Dalot do it quite well when he came on against Bodo Glimt last week, where it was Garnacho that was playing in this number 10 role. However, what happened was when Manchester United were in possession, Garnacho, we'll just pretend this is Garnacho for the moment, dropped out here looking for the ball, and Dalot went into that number 10 position. As soon as we lost the ball, Dalot instantly came back as a fullback to make up for at the back. And we pushed Bodo Glimt wide and defended in these areas here. We defended in these areas. Right here, and we defended in these areas here when we lost possession. We made the middle very hard to play through, and we forced Bodo Glimt to go wide, into these positions. And I think that's what we're going to have to do on Sunday if we are to stifle Arsenal in any way. I think that's the main area of concern there. Score prediction on the weekend, guys. Look, I mean, obviously I'm going to back Manchester United to get something out of the game. Can we go and get a win? I think confidence is high at the moment, given how well we've started under Ruben Amorim. He's undefeated, 2 wins and a draw. However, we're coming up against a real test on the weekend. My heart says United could get a 1-1 draw out of it, but realistically, I mean, it's hard to look past an Arsenal win. I don't think it'll be a runaway win. I think it'll be maybe a 2-1 or a 1-0 to Arsenal. I would love to get something from the game, a draw, maybe even nick a win. You'd never know. But I'm going to be confident going into the game, and I'm going to be positive and enthusiastic. A midweek game, can't wait for it. Do let me know your score predictions in the comment section below, guys. Let me know your starting 11 as well. Would you change anything to the starting 11 or the predicted 11 that we've got up on the screen here? Let me know in the comment section below. I do want to hear from you. Let's have a conversation in the comment section. Please do smash a like on the video as well if you haven't done so already. Do hit that subscribe button also. I do appreciate it. We're on the road to 13,000 subscribers. Absolutely flying it at the moment. Thanks for watching. We will be doing a live watch along for the game as well from 7:30 on Wednesday night. So make sure you're tuning in for that as well. Hope to see you over there. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.